because we're just recording. I just got done doing the live broadcast here about almost an hour ago. It went longer than I thought it was going to go. Like we had a couple guests on, and it was just like the first guest was about an hour, and the second guest went over an hour. So
wow. Were they comedians, or what were they doing?
No, one was a son of a wrestler, and
Cool.
the other was a governor from Minnesota, or governor to run for governor. Like his name Brad Kohler. He's a former UFC guy and a wrestler too, which I didn't know about, and learned a lot. So he's running for governor for Minnesota. So we don't normally go political, but I have a lot of people that are in my group that love politics. So I'm just like, well, okay, I'll entertain for this time. So.
I hear what you're saying, but when we go on the show, I'll talk to you about it. You'll see.
Sure.
I perform for a president, so I want to discuss that with you.
Sure. Whatever you wanted to talk about it is fine with me. I really have I don't care.
I got the notes, babe. I got everything.
Good. Boy, you definitely do your work anyway. I mean, that's good. That's good that you do that, because I've seen you do a lot of podcasts and stuff, and I'm sure you're similar with all the people that are a part of that too, or that get a hold of you, because I've seen you do a couple of you.
I got hooked into. I mean, of all, the craziest thing, like a murder that was on down here. We could even talk about that. I don't have that in my notes, and that's how I got on all these people's podcasts, and I can talk about that also. I didn't write that down, so I'll write that down. Okay.
All right. Well, let me do an intro here to introduce you, because
sure.
Like I said, we're just recording. We're not live at all, so this will air later, and I'll let you know when I air it. I'll send you the link and everything. But I'll do an introduction here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another great edition of Frankie Sloss's Renegade Radio. And this is separate from the show, because sometimes I like to do some interviews on the side, when the show's not live, or just to fill some time. And this is definitely an interview that I've been wanting to do for a little while. I found him via social media, but I also seen some of his clips on YouTube and all that, and Facebook. There's the shorts. That's where we get most of our guests from. From the internet. He's been in the comedy business for a very, very, very long time. I'm excited to talk to him. His name is Bruce Smirnoff, and you know what? Welcome to the show, my friend. We are so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, Frankie.
Oh, absolutely, man! I tell you,
I have to first say to you, it's a nice about 71 degrees here in Delray Beach, Florida. I got to hear, what is the temperature in Minnesota right now?
Well, I can tell you it's currently, I think, 31 degrees right now?
That's great. That's amazing.
Bad, but we're going to get a storm here, I guess, tomorrow, I believe. So who knows how long that'll last. But everybody, people freak out with storms, no matter how big or small.
Well, if you get a storm, is that going to bring the temperature down, or does that bring the temperature up?
It will probably bring it down a little bit, because
so you'll have
30 degrees is not normal for Minnesota.
No.
I mean, below 30 is normal.
And I when I spoke to you last night, I told you I used to perform in Winnipeg. And the thing about comedy in places like Winnipeg is, in the summer, nobody goes to the comedy shows. So you want to be there in the winter because everybody comes to the shows. But I'd never been in temperatures that cold. I mean, I grew up in Connecticut, and we'd get in the 20s, but in Winnipeg, it was in the minus 10, 14 every night. That was one of the most unbelievable things. And yet the shows were fantastic, but the atmosphere was so cold. I always remember that. So you're probably not that far from Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, about
200 miles.
About 3 hours, maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
Give or take, because I moved I'm an hour away from my hometown, so I'm not too, and the hometown is like probably about 3 hours from Winnipeg. Okay. So still within the Minnesota border, like the United States, but like we have to go through the border in order to, but we're not that far from that. It's like less than 3 hours. So yeah, Winnipeg's not that far. I haven't gone there in such a long time, because I thought you needed passports now to go to go anywhere, and And back in the day, you didn't need that at all. You could just go, and as long as you had a good record and everything, you were fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with all that stuff. But so I just kind of stay in the United States. I'm close to like North Dakota.
Right. You told me that. And you work at a casino in North Dakota or Minnesota?
In Minnesota. I'm about 15 minutes away from my job. That's kind of why so I have a little house here, whatever, and it's nice. I mean, it's just, I do all right for a single guy. So not complaining at all. Well, I can complain, but nobody's gonna pay attention to that stuff anyway. And it has nothing to do with
I say hello specifically to your guests right now.
Oh. And my guests, there are probably a lot of guests that know who you are.
We'll find out as the evening goes on, but I just want to say hello and thank you for watching, because I agree. I was sitting in my underwear like I do all the time yesterday, and I get this thing on Facebook. Are you available to talk? And the balls for people to do that, the confidence to do that, and I admire that, because so many people would love to do certain things in their life and they hesitate, and hesitation is not a good quality. And I answered you immediately, and you said, "Hey, I do a podcast. Would you like to be on it?" And I said, "Anyone that would do that, absolutely." Because I'm really not a performer anymore, and I have done podcasts, but I had to say yes. This guy's got balls.
Well, I appreciate your positive attitude. I wish everybody that I've ever asked to do an interview was as positive as you, because I wish over the history of my career, the people that I met, I wish I could have, instead of being so nervous around some of them, I wish I could have been more forward. So that's why I'm trying to pay you a great compliment about that. Well, I appreciate that. And that's the thing about me. And you said you watched an episode of the actual show, and I've been doing interviews for a long time. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I'm not saying I'm bad at it either. I'm kind of right in the middle. Every time's a different learning curve, because everybody's different. Everybody has a different story. Not everybody's the same. But I've seen a lot of these people who do interviews with people, and sometimes I wonder like how did they get the guests, and how did they get to the point where they are, because there's so many people that never went to broadcasting school that have no idea how that works, but yet they have these nice studios in their house, and with these podcasts, and they got all these subscribers, all that big fan base and everything, and yet I've been doing this for over 20 years, and people keep telling me, it's like, oh, just keep on doing what you do, and one day it'll happen. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I still have never been paid to do an interview or anything. I have paid to do interviews, but I've never been paid to keep this going. That's why I have the job. So,
well, let's hope this is a good interview, and many, many more. And just by you saying what you just said, I have all these stories here for you. And one of the biggest ones I didn't write down, and you just clicked it in my head. So there's no order. It's your choice. But I'm going to give you an idea of the contact that I've had over the years with people, and any stories you want to hear, I will be glad to tell you. And the list includes, we have Ron Jeremy, because I saw you talking about him, Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, Howard Stern, which you just clicked on for me, Milton Berle, Carol O'Connor, Johnny Carson, Kevin Nealon, the Improv years in Hollywood, California, Robin Williams, Paul Newman, Albert Brooks, and Milton Berle. How's that for a list of stories?
Wow, that's wow. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's nobody. I mean, I know majority of those people that you're talking about.
I'm sure you do,
but I've never met any of those people.
So. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, I've had experiences with all those people. And did I say Carol O'Connor? Carol O'Connor. Yes, I did say him. All right. Yeah, all these people in my life, and I'd be glad to share any of them, all of them, whatever tickles your fancy.
Well, I mean, I'm curious about your interactions with Sam Kinison, because from what I mean, he was. I mean, what was he like? When you did hang out with him.
Well, I will talk about Sam, but before we begin, is that you?
Yeah, it's my mother trying to get a hold of me.
Yeah. See what you want. That could be important.
I doubt it. I think she just watching the show from earlier. I was just saying, I'll call you back.
All right.
Call you later. All right.
I have a surprise for you. I know this is not a political show, but I'm also one of the only comedians who performed for a president of the United States. How do you like that?
That's pretty impressive.
Not only did I perform for him, but I maintained a friendship with him, and to the point where I could get him on the telephone if that interests you at all.
You could.
I could.
You could call him right now and he'd answer.
He is in right now. Yes. Would you like me to?
Sure.
Shot. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
I have to get my clearance code.
Does he do video? Does he do video calls at all, or is he just all do audio?
He's not going to do video for us, but he'll take the call if he's in.
Okay.
But I have to get my code because you're dealing with secret. Sure, I got it. All right.
Okay. I'm kind of curious to see which president this one could be because.
Well, it's a living president, so that's.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, I'd like to speak to Big Golfer 1, please.
All right, hold on. Mr. President, we have Bruce Smirnoff on the line.
Hi, Mr. President.
Bruce, it's great to hear from you. How are you?
I'm good. I just saw a couple hours ago you're flying back from where you were. You're back in Washington, D.C., yes?
Well, that's right. I am back in Washington, D.C., and we're doing tremendous things. We're setting record ratings right now. The economy's never been hotter, and celebrating President's Day. As you know, this holiday probably wouldn't even exist without me. But it's great to hear your voice, Bruce.
Well,
how have you been?
I've been fine. The reason I'm calling is I'm doing a podcast with a guy, Frankie Slauson, who is in Minnesota and works at a casino. And I know that you owned a series of casinos, and I just wanted you to say hi to him and just wish him well on his podcast.
It's Frankie Slauson?
Yes.
Well, Frankie, it's your favorite president, and I wanted to say hello and wish you all the best with the casinos. As you know, I have a lot of experience with casinos. You know, my casinos actually made more money than any casinos in the history of human civilization, frankly.
Wow. That sounds pretty impressive anyway.
We made trillions of dollars, but Frankie, I hope you're doing tremendous. You know, Minnesota's been a total disaster. Frankly, it's really sad what's happened in Minnesota, but we're fixing it. We're fixing it very quickly and very easily.
Well, Mr. President, you got people like Frankie there. So when we have people like that, we know we got good help on the way.
At least we've got people like Frankie Slauson, who maybe you should run for governor of Minnesota.
Well, we did interview Governor Brad Kohler. I don't know. Do you know him at all? He's running for governor.
Oh, I've heard about him. I've heard a lot of great things about him.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to take any more time, Mr. President, but I wanted to thank you so much for coming in and give Melania a kiss for Valentine's Day for us. Okay.
Oh, I'll give her more than a kiss, frankly. And thanks for the call, Bruce. Always good to hear from you, Slauson. I hope that this is the highest rated podcast in the history of all your podcasts.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Send me a check.
Will do, Mr. President. So
wow.
Who does their homework before a Frankie Slauson podcast, huh?
That's right. Well, that's now. Let me ask you now: was that really him, or was that somebody?
Oh, come on! That happens to be an extremely talented friend of mine, Josh Rosen. Who?
Okay.
It's a funny story. During COVID, down here, and I imagine it was the same. Everyone was isolated, but not comics, and I because whatever, we're very cynical. We got out of the house. So we would go to these open micers just to hang out, because I would go there to just to chill. And it was at a club that was so bad in Boca Raton. Nobody did well. People went there for every other reason but for comedy. So people would just carry on conversations. Comics would most of the comics down here, they don't have training. They don't have places to perform. So they're not very good. It's not that they couldn't be good, but they're just not good because they don't get the opportunity to perform, as you understand. So I would just go to hang. So I would always sit outside, and you'd just hear a voice, which would be the comic on stage. You'd never hear any laughter because these people were just involved in their own conversations. And one night, the weirdest thing happened. I was sitting with this table of other comics, and I heard the craziest thing coming out of the room, which was laughter. No one ever laughed. And I heard the audience going crazy. I said, I can't believe this. I went in, and it was this guy, Josh Rosen, and he was doing all these impressions, and he was doing Trump. And this is like what COVID was 2020, right? That winter. Yep. And it was just hysterical. He was doing Biden. It was really, really funny. And I had to, befriend him and take him under my wing and just say, I've never seen anybody get laughs in this room. You're great. And he has since, really grown in comedy and working around the country. He does commercials. He does little parts. They film motion pictures down here, but they don't film like the primary scenes. They film like the interstitials. And he's been in a couple of films as an actor. He's a terrific actor too. So just a shout out to Josh Rosen.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at his Facebook page right now just to see what he looked like, and he definitely looks pretty good.
He looks like Woody Allen. He can do a phenomenal. When you see him do Woody Allen, it's frightening. They flew him up to Toronto. Are you a Woody Allen fan?
I haven't heard of him before. As far as a fan, yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I mean, because his films are different, but they're good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So they filmed him up to recreate a scene. What was it? I think it was wasn't Bananas. I think it wasn't Annie Hall. Whatever it was, it was a subway scene where he gets on a subway and there's all these tough guys and they're bullying people. And he acts real macho. And at the stop, he pushes all the guys off the train and he sits down. And then obviously the next stop, before the train takes off, the doors reopen and the bullies come in. And it's a very, very funny scene. So they wanted to recreate it. So they hired him to be Woody Allen, and he has a distinct look like Woody Allen. It's great he recreated.
Well, that's cool. That's what I mean. It's nice when comedians become friends with each other.
Oh yeah,
each other. And
do you know who Jimmy Schubert? Does that ring a bell?
No.
Jimmy Schubert, A++ comedian. I know him from LA, originally from Philadelphia, and he lives down here. During COVID, I mean, I think Hollywood is still locked out. The Comedy Store and the Improv are doing business again, but all the small comedy clubs, nobody goes out. It really has an effect on what it did to Los Angeles. It destroyed some of these cities. And so these comics all know that I live here, and I lived in LA most of my comedy life. I moved there in 1978. So they'd call me and go, do people go out in Florida? I go, yeah, we don't even wear masks. We don't give a shit about that stuff. And so I got a bunch of comics wound up moving here, Schubert being one of the most talented. And Greg Hahn, do you know who Greg Hahn is? Look him up. H-A-H-N, one of the funniest human beings, and a former captain in the U.S. Marine Corps. And he lives here. He is off so Florida, because of COVID, we got so many, because the local scene down here, there's just no place to get good. There's people here who could be good, but there's just no clubs where you can fail. It's changing a little. There is an improv down here, but the improv is strictly major pros, and then they have a handful of guys that they nest along. But if you're not in that handful, you're screwed. And that's just what it's like down here. So we're very lucky that we got a bunch of comics that fled, all those restrictions. And LA is just really not LA anymore, and they're flourishing here.
we had Tom Cotter on our show
Oh,
last
I
week.
love Tom Carter. He's down here all the time.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's
Great. Not a dirty word. He can be dirty, but he doesn't have to be. He's totally great.
It's amazing just how he's just so good at just what he does. It's like he can make you, he can make fun of you without really making fun of you.
Yeah,
or make fun of you with making fun of you.
He's a natural. He is a great writer. He's great in the moment. A++ all the way around for him. Yeah.
Well, that's just what I mean. It's like, when you ask if I was a comedian and stuff, it's like, I'm not a comedian, but I've always had respect for the comedians. Growing up, I mean, my first, I grew up having HBO, and I used to watch the Young Comedian special and stuff, and Howie Mandel was one of my first favorite comedians.
I know Howie.
80s Howie Mandel, not current Howie Mandel. But the hair kind of like what I got, kind of that Howie Mandel. Walk Like a Man, which is yet to come out on Blu-ray or 4K yet. It's still on DVD. I don't know why. It's a good movie. We should have it be released, digitally here. But anyway, I grew up in I was born in 83, so I'm only 42 years old. So I'm an 80s and 90s kid. Right. And I used to watch a lot of movies, and HBO kind of helped me kind of develop my sense of humor, because not only with all the dirty stuff, but with all the good movies they show and whatever, the comedy stuff I always enjoyed. So I've always had respect for comedians. And so to have as many as I've had on my shows and whatever else, it's like, man, this is awesome.
When I moved to LA on October 2nd, 1978, and that night I ran to the Comedy Store, to go watch, and Howie Mandel had just also flown in, and he went on that night, and he blew the room out of the place. And Mitzi, the owner of the Comedy, created many, many people's careers. She went nuts over him, and the rest is history. He got fast so quick. He really just shot to start.
The non-germaphobe him, the guy who.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean, nothing against him currently, because I still like him currently. I liked his comedy. The prop comic. There aren't too many prop comics around, and I feel we need to bring that back.
He used to put a condom like over his head and then blow it up and all.
For no reason.
Nonsensical stuff. But people they found him very endearing.
I think he did that like as an opener, like when he first when the audience was so clapping or whatever. It's like, no, I've always loved comedy, and it's just like on our show, I'm friends with a guy named John Lutz, who used to do a Sam Kinison tribute, as you saw on the video.
Is that the guy that I saw last night?
If that's who was on the show, he's my co-creator of the Renegade Radio podcast, and we started doing this over 2.5 years ago. But he's friends with Bill Kinison, which is Sam's brother.
Correct.
And Bill's been on our show.
All right, stop. So Sam Kinison is living. This is amazing story. He has no money. This is in like 79-ish, 80. And he's part of a bunch of Houston guys that came out to LA. And he was misunderstood at first. Nobody really knew he wasn't Sam Kinison when he came out. He wasn't the guy that your viewers are familiar with. So he was so determined. He was sleeping in the Comedy Store, like in a corner during at night. And then he would use the teeny tiny little bathroom, which is just a toilet and a sink and to bathe and to get him through. And the rest is history. But at that point, I was in a comedy workshop for improv comedy. It was a guy named Harvey Lembeck, tremendous actor. He was in those beach blanket bikini movies and Stalag 54. You'll look him up later. It was a great, and he taught an improv comedy class, and it was to get in was like you had to audition and everything. So I was in that, and Sam approached me at the Comedy Store and said, I'd really like to try that. And we brought him into the class, and he was phenomenal. And he bonded with me because of that, because it was tough to get an invite into the class at the time. And we always remained friends. But as you know, he had a very checkered past with that stuff you put in your nose. And I wasn't one of those people. So we kind of even though I did, so I never really saw him again because he led his life. I led my life. But then around 85, because you mentioned his brother, I'm doing a one-nighter in New Jersey. There were always these great one-nighters you do in Jersey, and they would be like in discos, but it would be on a Sunday. It would be like Thursday and Sunday. It wouldn't be Friday and Saturday because they had plenty of business, but they would get their clientele to come in for comedy shows those other nights. So we're in this club in Jersey. There's a lot of Italian Americans. So he's on stage, and the night before, he absolutely killed. Blew the room off. So we come back the next night and it's a different crowd, and it's Italian Americans, and he does his religion, he's big religion crazy.
Oh yeah.
Stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they turned on him from the night before, standing ovation. People wanted to drive home with us, to stay at our house in New Jersey. The next night they wanted to kill him. And all I can remember is at the end of the show, 'cause not me, they like me. So, but I'm with Sam in the dressing room, and his brother literally had to go get the car and then give a signal, and we would run out the exit and get in the car. That's how almost violent things were becoming, because you only had like 3 doormen and you had like 50 angry Italian guys who wanted to get Sam. So what the fuck is going on here? So we get in the car, we drive away, and I look at Bill. Bill's in the front seat. He's got a 357, not stainless steel, what, a chrome, because you could see I go, you can't have a gun. You just can't drive around in New York and New Jersey with a gun. I'm like, oh my God, what do I got myself into? But we drove away. That was the end of it. And then I ran into him a few years later, and now he was a real big star. And we hadn't seen any, he just went around. This is the guy that got me into Harvey's class. I owe him. So he invited me to his house. And again, I'm a real goody. And I get there, and it's like Drugs USA. And I'm like, I can't be around this, but thank you very much. Thanks for thinking of me. So we always, we had like a love for each other, a respect, but I couldn't be around that group of people, and they all died.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, and he was trying to get help for that, and I think he did try to. He was recovering, but after that whole he got killed and stuff, it was just like, man, because I think he would have been so cool today, even to this day. I think he would have still rock and rolled. He would have been around your age or so. I think he would have been about what, about 70 or so.
I'm going to be 70 later on this year. I think I might have been I don't know. He could have been a year older than me or a year younger, but yeah, we were similar in age.
Yeah, because he was 38 when he died, so that was 92. So yeah, he'd be over 70 by now. But anyway,
But he had a bunch of comics called The Outlaws, and they were all really good. And I have one of the Outlaws with me right now. Would you like to see him?
Sure.
Here we go. Here it is. Okay. This is Mitchell Walters. All you comedy nuts, look him up. Another amazing character. These are his ashes. And if you notice, we keep his ashes in a gram, because he was another one of these cocaine guys. So when Mitchell died, he was cremated down here. And then all his special friends, we all got this vial, like that people put coke in, and we have his ashes. So I keep it. So Mitchell's always in, when company's over, Mitchell's always involved. Look him up. He was a comic at the show. He never broke through. He was not a good looking. He looked like what was that, Batman? Remember the Penguin in Batman? He looked like the Penguin in Batman. And great comic, but hideous looking, and degenerate gambler. I say this with all due respect, but big coke and big gambler. To know Mitchell is to have to lend him money and know you're never going to get it back. But these were the characters. These are the people. My mother, I grew up in Connecticut in a secluded neighborhood, a suburban neighborhood. These are the people. If my mother knew I was hanging out with these people, it wouldn't have been good. But these were the most fun people. Comics are. We are bent, as you must know from knowing these people, and you may have. Do you have aspirations of performing, or do you perform?
I make a fool of myself at my job.
But you have that little bit in you.
A little bit. I mean,
right,
here
so
and
that
there,
little
but I don't know how good I'd be. But you never know.
that little bit is a disorder of some type. There is like before stand-up comedy, there was no, this was not invented, in caveman days. This was like something that came along with modern society. So no one really aspired, in the 1700s to be a comedian, right? So this is definitely an affliction of modern times. So, but it's an affliction that is a very popular one, and you can become very famous and get all the girls, which not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're lucky, I mean, it's all about good timing and all about luck, all about precision. I'm sure. I mean, with you, I mean, for those that aren't familiar with kind of your style of comedy, like what kind of comic were you? Were you kind of filthy? Were you all
No,
filthy?
when I first started out, I mean, I used 4-letter words and stuff because you had to, but the more I developed, you know about the Catskill Mountains and the comedians that came out of that. Catskill Mountains were an area in upper New York State. It's called the Borscht Belt, where all these Jewish comedians got started, like Buddy Hackett and Milton Berle and all these famous people. And it would be the New Yorkers that lived in New York would want to get away from this sticky, smelly, dirty city and go vacation. They went to the Catskill Mountains. And many Jewish people would go there. And that was the birth. The hotels would give you as much food as you can eat, lots of activities, and they gave you a show every night. And these people expected really great everything. So they were a very tough audience. But once you cracked them, you were a star. I mean, everyone started there. Milton Berle. It would take me 2 hours to name all the famous comics that at least started in the Catskills and then went on to national fame. And what was that? Where was I? How did I get there? What was I saying? You were asking me about.
We were talking about what type of comedian are you?
Okay. So right. Style? So when I was in Boston University, I went to film school there. But even when I got to Boston U, I knew that I wanted to be a comedian. I knew I wanted to be a comedian about 13 years old. I was listening to like Bill Cosby records, Don Rickles, comedian Jackie Mason. He used to talk like this. He was very, very Jewish kind of a guy. And I would listen, and Robert Klein. When Robert Klein came along around 70, when he had his first album, I'm going to say that was 73-ish, 74, childhood of the 50s. And that spurned everybody. Jerry Seinfeld, everybody became addicted to stand-up comedy because stand-up comedy, up until I would say Lenny Bruce and Robert Klein, it was a hard profession. You had a lot of times you had to, like Lenny Bruce, had to perform in strip clubs. So forget about the Comedy Store and the drugs around that. Think about having to do comedy where guys are just coming to see topless women and you got to make them laugh. So if you study Lenny Bruce at all, that's how he made his bones. Not only that, he's talking politics. Guys are coming to get a hard on and look at titty girls, and he's talking about, intellectual things. So that's how amazing Lenny Bruce was, that he was able to get people, to not think about boobs and think about the things he was saying. So comedy is a very interesting background where these people come from. So the Catskills, I got to get the cat out of the way. No, please. Here, I'll show you. Here, this is my skinny cat. Hold on. We got him. This is Mr. Botchagaloop, named after a character on the Abbott and Costello. Aww. And he needs to go on a diet. He's been needing to go on a diet for a long time. Say hi. He says hi. Now you go somewhere else.
He just wanted to be in your presence is all.
And I have him, and I have Mr. Drysdale, who's named after. You ever watch the Beverly Hillbillies?
Oh yeah.
He's named after Mr. Drysdale.
See, I like a lot of old comedy too, just like you're talking about. See, I grew up on liking the Three Stooges. I thought they were the greatest, the best for Jewish comedy. When it comes to that.
Beyond phenomenal, Three Stooges. We got to watch those like you did. They were on every day, like at 4:00 in the afternoon, and it was a staple.
I have the whole box set now on DVD, the whole series, the whole everything, because I released it a while back ago. I'm a physical media collector, so I like physical media. I collect too
What
much.
do you collect?
Oh, I got like movies. Like I'll show you here. Like I'll show you a couple examples here. Like I also stream too, but like I like like Coming to America. It's
Okay.
like movies and stuff. Like and you talk about Howie Mandel. Well, Little Monsters, of course.
Right. Well,
Just
Arsenio Hall is in that movie with Eddie
yep.
Murphy.
Oh yeah.
And I can turn you on to there's another comedian who lives down here, Richie Minervini, extremely funny guy. And he owned a comedy club in New York. And he started, listen to the people he started. So he opens up the comedy club. He's like an okay comic at first. He's not that great, but like we all stink when we first start out. And these are the people that came through his club in the very late 70s and then really through the 80s. So Eddie Murphy, I got Rick Messina, who became a manager, Tony Camacho, who these are all multimillionaires, everyone I mentioned. So some of them are behind the scenes, they're in front of the scenes. Judd Apatow was 14 years old, and he would pay him, I think, $21 a night to be the dishwasher. But Judd Apatow wanted to be around comedy so badly that he would take the bus from his parents' house to the club, wash dishes, and then use the $20 that Richie paid him to take a taxi home like at 3:00 in the morning. And just Bob Nelson, so many famous people came out of that club that one night we tallied up how much money these people are worth. It came through just that one comedy club, and it's in the like $1 billion range, because of Eddie Murphy and some of the other people. I wouldn't say $1 billion, but heavy duty million, hundreds.
Oh yeah. Well, absolutely. And
Judd Apatow brings it almost up to $1 billion. Yes.
Well, they paved the way, and then he just did that documentary on Mel Brooks. That's
I didn't see that. It's got to be great.
Right? I haven't watched it yet either, because I'm kind of waiting on watching some documentaries. I do plan to, but I have other things that I'm watching right now first. As a collector and stuff, and you get carried away with so much stuff, and it's just like.
Well, the Producers was a movie. You've seen that, yes?
I have the whole Mel Brooks box set.
So yeah. That was on when I was that came out in 70, 60, 68, I think, or 66, whatever it was. It was on Tuesday night at the movies. It was on NBC. They would have that. And I saw it. And that was what I knew something. I knew there was this connection that was made from watching that movie that I didn't understand it, but I found it. I loved the Three Stooges. I loved Laurel and Hardy, but that came at a level that was really clicking. And that's one of the first movies I remember. And Gene Wilder, oh my God, was that such a great, great film. And that was a monumental film, Mel Brooks.
It just goes to show what you can do with a little bit of idea and imagination and what they were allowing you to do back in the day. Nowadays, they talk about Blazing Saddles as like it couldn't be made today because of how racist it was.
Right.
But it's like there's a lot of racist movies out there.
So that's what comedy is all about. Comedy is taking something so dramatic and flipping it because obviously the theme is they produce. they want the theme of the Producers. If you haven't seen it, it's the classic comedy, which is these crooked guys want to produce a play and raise more money than the play could possibly make so that they can rip off all the investors. And the key is to have the worst script in the world and it be so bad that it'll close on opening night. The investors will go, well, we took a shot, we lost our money, and then they they steal all the money. But what happens is the play becomes the greatest play because it was cast so badly that it was so bad that it was good. It's one of the greatest, funniest movies ever made. And yes, that got me. That's turned on some kind of light in my head.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Because stuff like that is just pure comedy gold.
And Dick Shawn was in that movie. Do you remember Dick Shawn, the actor? And he played the Hitler character. And when I was, even before that movie, my parents had taken me to Grossinger's, which was one of those hotels in the Catskills, and Dick Shawn was the comedian that weekend, and I didn't understand. I think I was 6 years old, 7, and I'm laughing, and I'd never seen a comedian before, and it was just, he was zany. He would just it looked like improv. He knew what he was doing, but it was really off the cuff. And one day, many, many years later, at the Friars Club in Beverly Hills, I'm sitting, and he comes over to the table. I used to sit with Milton Berle all the time and keep him company. And Dick Shawn came over, and I was like, this is the guy that got me, my inspiration. And I looked at him, and I said, Mr. Shawn, it's because of you. And I said, the Catskills in 1964, my parents took, and I did this whole thing. And he looked at me and said, yeah, great. And he just went back. He went back into it, and I was like so crushed. But yeah, that's what comics are like,
Yeah, but it's like he probably was just sick. Maybe he was just having a bad day at the time or something. I don't know. I hate when people are like that. It's like,
unfortunately, he passed away very young.
Sure.
And you know how he passed away?
No,
he passed away in the middle of a show. And he died. He's in the middle of a bit, like a crazy, crazy bit. And he clutches his heart and he falls to the floor. And people thought it was part of the bit. So they were screaming of laughter for something like about 7 seconds. So for that 7 seconds of this man dying, taking his last breath, they interpreted it, because he was so zany, as it being part of the shtick. And that's that's how he'll always be known, as people like laughing. And then slowly his body wasn't moving, and the laughter stopped, and then somebody jumped on stage, and the rest is tragedy.
Sure. I've heard of that happening before. There's a lot of people in the entertainment business is like, man, I tell you, that's just weird. It's like the whole room just feels different when that happens.
Well, yeah, you can go on YouTube, and there's a British comedian, and I don't know his name. He was like big in the 60s, and he dies on live television. It's just a real short clip, but any of you aficionados out there, Google it, British comedian dies live on TV. You'll see that. And that's really spooky. But again, they didn't know. They thought it was comedy for a few seconds.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, we what we like to do on my podcast, for Renegade Radio is like, we try to. My show is all about trying to get to know people, And sure. I have a pretty good group of people, as you saw in the episode that you watched, and we all care about each other, and we all have something to do with entertainment, or at least we try to be.
It's great, isn't it?
I have worked in television before. That was the only real paid job that I've ever had in broadcasting. I moved to South Dakota for a little while, and I got to work in television for like 3 years. I was a master controller for a Fox affiliate.
Cool.
That was fun. So I got to help out with the prime time. I got to help out with working with the news team. I got to do the news, the commercials, and everything. So it was great. But that 3 years and 3 months that I was there went by so damn fast. I mean, it's like it felt like it didn't even happen, but it did happen.
May I tell you a story about similar situation working at a station? So I went to Boston University Film School, film and television. We produced my class, some real heavy hit, like network people that you see now. Well, you don't know them because they're networked, they're behind the scene. But we had a radio station, WTBU, and it was carrier current. I don't know if any of your viewers know. Do you know what carrier current is? It's a radio signal that can only be heard if the radio is plugged into the electrical current of the facility. So it's like play radio. It was idiotic. I mean, it was you could only hear the station if you were living at Boston University, like in a dormitory or the student union. The antenna was through the electrical system. So it was pretty much play radio because nobody ever listened. They had it on in the kitchen for the workers in the kitchen. And no one in their right mind in the dormitories would listen to amateur radio, which is what this all was. But anyway, I wanted to be a DJ. So I made my demonstration tape, and I go to turn it in, and I was a day late. And I couldn't believe I'm such an efficient guy. And I fucked up with the bring it in. I brought it in on the Thursday, and it was due on the one. And I was beside myself. I was so depressed. And that weekend, I just couldn't believe that I messed up like that. And then on the Monday, I get a phone call from a guy named Ted Harbert, who, if you look him up now, head of NBC, head of gigantic gazillion, one of the biggest people in broadcast. These are the kinds of people I went to school with. And he was head of the radio station. And he calls me up and he goes, yeah, I've just listened to your audition tape. Are you available Tuesdays at noon? And I go, well, I thought I was too late. He goes, we have an opening. And I had no idea what he meant by that. And I go, okay, yeah. He goes, well, come down and meet me at the station. So he's a real powerful guy, very handsome guy, married a girl who was also in our class, and she's real powerful. So they're like a power couple. Anyway, he was a prick then. I don't know what he's now, but he was like a prick to me. He goes, all right, what's your format? And I didn't understand why he was being so mean to me. And I go, well, I want to call myself the Big K, and I want to play disco music. This is 1975, and I want to tell jokes in BC. And he just goes, no. Absolutely not. You will not tell jokes. You want to play your disco music? No jokes. And I went, okay, no problem. And so I go on and I'm the Big K, but I can't be funny. And after like about 2 weeks of doing this, I don't want to do it anymore because I'm not being able to be a personality. I'm just playing disco music, which I could live without. And what I found out, why he exploded at me, was the guy who was on that I replaced, did a comedy bit. And the bit was called Fart Man Goes to Harlem with Godzilla, and he eats all the black people. Now, he's doing that sketch on this radio station. And again, no one's listening to it. However, the employees in the student union, the cooks and the dishwashers, who happen to be African American, are listening to the radio station, and they hear this DJ doing this sketch, and they walk out in protest of race and racial epithet, the whole thing, and they protested the whole day. And you know who that disc jockey was?
I don't know. I don't.
Who's the most controversial disc jockey in history?
Probably not Wolfman Jack at all.
No. After Wolfman Jack, your viewers have already guessed it, so we'll just go with Howard Stern.
Howard Stern, okay.
These are the people. These are the footsteps that are around me.
Sure. It's history. It's what it is. That's interesting, though. That would be who he was.
So if you're a fan of Howard Stern, he tortured Ted Harbert throughout the years on his radio show. But Ted Harbert, rose up head of ABC, all these things. He's huge, but so was Howard. And he was like the bane of his jokes all the time.
I do have his movie Private Parts, and I have listened to some of his shows before, but I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan, but I'm not a big fan. I understand. More or less, with me when it comes to him. I mean,
did you ever see his television show?
No.
Okay.
But I have the movie, though. I just have the Private Parts on.
It's different. It's different. Because I couldn't get up early in the morning. I being a comedian, I have really late hours. So he wound up doing a television show out of this while he was a disc jockey. He was big in New York. He wasn't big anywhere else, but he went to this Channel 9 in New Jersey, which was a Verstunkene television station. They just played Frankenstein movies like 24/7, but it was a real legitimate station. So they let him do the Howard Stern TV show. And I think I may be off a year or two somewhere in there, but it's like 1988 to about 91. And you can watch this online. It's beyond belief. It was beyond hysterical. The things, he had those midgets, he had black dwarfs, he had everything that now would put you they'd lock you up and shoot you in a prison. He was doing, and it was the funniest thing on the planet. And then he got so hot because it was at Channel 9 in New York was what's called a superstation. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was on the cable. So it was shot because it was such a shitty station. They gave away their their broadcasts because they did anything for a nickel because it was such a broken down radio station. So cable bought it, so it went on your selection, so you could watch NBC, CBS, or you could watch WOR. So that's what happened. He became, nationwide from that crazy show. They would air it at like 1:30 in the morning, but I couldn't wait to come back from a gig to watch it. And then he exploded on terrestrial radio all after that.
Yeah, and he's still doing it to this day. That a good hats off to him. A guy who became a shock jock. I knew a shock jock too. His name was Ray Petty, and we called him Ron Schwachs, and he was, I think, a little bit better than the Houndster in a lot of ways. In what he was doing, but he wasn't really well known around. He was known on the internet, but he was from Dundalk, Maryland, and the Baltimore area originally.
His last name?
Petty, Petty.
Right, no, but what was his other name? Ron what?
Ron Fox with the 3 X's.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a tribute. Well, because he was kind of dirty too. He's kind of like talking about sex and stuff.
Did he ever do stand up ultimately or not?
No. But he was funny though. He was funny when he hosted his shows.
Now, do you ever go to stand-up comedy shows?
They don't really have much around here. And
Tell me the name where do you live? What's the name of your city or town?
Well, the city I live in is a little town called Brooks, Minnesota, which has a population of probably 20 people. But the closest city that would have that would be Grand Forks, North Dakota, which is about 45 minutes.
And they have the casinos there.
Well, where I live, yes, they do. But for comedy, where they would have it would be in Grand Forks. So that's about 50 minutes from where I live. So it's about almost an hour drive. But
okay,
so I don't know who they are or anything, and they don't promote themselves much.
Can I ask you questions about you?
Sure.
Okay, because now that I'm pretty much retired, I yearn for a life that is the opposite of the life that I've lived. So when you tell me, do you live like on a lot of land?
Land that's owned by the town.
You don't have a house right next door. Do you have a house next door to you, or you actually have lots of?
I live in a cul-de-sac, kind of like a horseshoe area. So it looks like almost looks like a campground, kind of like, but it's not really a campground. It's a horseshoe restaurant.
So there's not a lot of action where you live. It's really quiet. Wow.
It's pretty dead over here. The reason why I moved here was because of being close to my job.
Right.
But I'm also closer to other things that are closer to me in the town that I live in now compared to where I lived before. The town I lived in before was a little bit bigger than this town, but I was farther away from like Walmarts and the big box stores and some malls and whatever. Now I'm a lot closer to that where I am now, kind of like real close to Grand Forks, closer to Fargo, closer to Bemidji, towns that I like to shop at. That normally would take me a bunch of hours to get to. Now don't take that long, so. Do
you have pets?
No.
You have animals? Do you have a cow or anything like that?
No.
Wow.
I've been a city guy pretty much my whole life. I mean, I'm just one of those guys that want to be different. Like I didn't want to be a normal 9-to-5 person. I feel like
you are different. You are different because you had the balls to just instant message me last night. So that's a testament.
Yeah, but if you notice, I was trying to get a hold of you a long time ago, though.
No, I did not notice that.
You didn't know that at all. Okay, because I sent you a bunch of messages. By the time that you accepted my friend request, or maybe before I found you, I was trying to get a hold of you a lot sooner to see if you'd like to do an interview, and you never responded. So I just thought I'll give it a try and see if he's around.
How did you find me?
Facebook.
I mean, but was I doing anything? You just saw my picture.
I think you were friends with somebody that I was friends with, and I saw your picture. I thought this guy looks like a goofy guy, but maybe I can find him on Facebook or find him on YouTube and see if I can find some videos. And I did laugh hysterically, And I thought, well, let's see if we can get this guy on the show. And that's all I really knew about you,
So now my life. Listen to this. I live in an over 55 community. I retired from performing about right, not because of COVID, but I coincidentally had my last gig. I think it was February, March 13th. We went into lockdown on the 13th, if I believe correct. And my last gig was March 10th. It was whatever the Saturday before COVID.
Sure.
And that was, and I was very cool with it because what ultimately happened was I wound up being a lot on cruise ships, and I would play all over the world. And what beat me up is I'm like 6'3", And when you work on cruise ships, they fly you all around the world to join these ships, but they give you coach seats. And what the airline industry has come down to is they try to pack in as many people as they can, and it was killing me. It was just beating me up. And then so I'd be like, 14 hours to Australia or wherever they'd send me, and then I'd get off the ship, and it would be like I hadn't slept yet, and it was already like a day and a half later. And then I get to the ship, and they go, "You're on in 2 hours." I'm on in 2 hours. I haven't slept in 48 hours. It would be, and you would put it together. You made it happen, but it was brutal. And I did that for, because the money's great. And I did that for like, I'd say about 10 plus years. And then I just said, I can't do it anymore. And that was it. I retired from perform. And then I do perform here. This is a area of South Florida. So there's a lot of over 55 communities here where people retire, and they pay very well, and they're great audiences. And, but I did that so long that they grew, they kind of grew tired of me. You can only, they're not getting new people. These people come and then they pass away, and then they slowly get replaced by younger, older people. So, once they've had you like 6 times, it's enough already. So I could see the handwriting on the wall. And that's why I was asking you about where you live, because I love where I live. It's very quiet, but because it's a homeowners community, a condo situation, I can only have like a pet. I can't have, and now that I have all this time at home, I wish I had like a goat. And I watch animal videos. And so if I lived where you live, I became your neighbor, I would have like one of each. I'd be like Noah. I'd have all these crazy animals, and I'd be playing with them all day.
Well, that gives me kind of an idea that maybe there's a way that can help you kind of make your life a little more interesting by doing something.
Buy a cow. You want a cow? We'll get a horse and a cow.
And this is if you're just interested in it. It doesn't have to be every week or whatever, but we're always looking for new people for the podcast. I mean, every Monday, and you don't have to be on every Monday, but like if you have a Monday free where you're not doing nothing and you want to shoot the shit for a while.
It goes without saying, not a problem. But I can get you other people also. We can do that.
That would be
nice. Because again, to you listening, anyone listening out there, he did something that if you read books on how to succeed and how to go one step and take the initiative, he did that. And he could have not done that and just wished his whole life, gee, I wish that guy was funny. I like that guy. I wish I had sent him a text message or whatever. And he did it. So sometimes all you have to do, just like you want to ask a girl out, she'd never go out with me. But it happened to me, and I asked the girl out, and she said yes, and the bells went off, all that great stuff.
Sure. I was going to ask if you had like a family or kids or anything.
No, I don't. And that girl that I asked out wound up not liking me anyway, but I was just using it as a parable to tell her. There's no good ending to it.
So we're kind of the same boat anyway, because I haven't really found much love. I thought I did, and then it's just kind of like, kind of hit and miss, kind of more or less, around here.
You have to want it, and you have to do due diligence. But when you live a life like we live, if I had a girlfriend and it was like tomorrow was her birthday, and I got a call from my agent saying they need you on a ship tomorrow, you have to be there, and I would have to take it, because when you're not in demand, when you're in minor demand, like being on a cruise ship, and you don't save the day, they move on from you, and that could they move on permanently from you. So until you become a name, which I never became, you have to be at their beck and call. And that means disappointing people on their birthdays, disappointing people. My nephew, and I couldn't go to his wedding because of a gig. It's all that stuff. You can't give up these things because you're just afraid that they will not hire you again. When you're not a name, that's what you're all about.
Well, it's sad that you didn't become a name, because I think you seem like a nice guy, and seem like somebody who I'd want to hang out with, honestly.
Well, that doesn't mean, that goes without saying. Yes. And when this is over, I'll give you a bunch of comics you can contact and get them on your show. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, and I appreciate you spending this time with me. I mean, it was really fun. Get to know you, and then we can always do a part 2 later down the road if you want.
Part 2, we got all those stories that we didn't cover tonight. Yeah. Johnny Carson, Robin Williams, Paul Newman. I've been around. I've had like a fly on the wall. I've seen so much in my life. You remember Johnny Carson, who he was?
Oh, yeah.
I had to drive him home from the Improv one night. So I'm very famous for that story. I have a lot of great stories that are so unbelievable that they're believable because I could be sued for libel. But these, unfortunately or fortunately, I saw a lot in my life. A lot of bad things, but I can talk about it because I can't be sick. Most of these people have passed away, unfortunately, and because I can prove that all this happened. So everybody knows me for these amazing stories. So let's just look at this as the appetizer. So if people that watch your show go, Frankie, we couldn't stand him. I never want to see him again. I may burn my whole computer along with my family and the house down just because I saw him. Then we know we don't continue. But if the opposite happens, then we can continue.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, like I said, I mean, we're friends on Facebook too, so we can always communicate anytime you want. So, and you're welcome to come on the podcast whenever you want. So,
do you have to go to work now?
No.
Good. What's your shift?
I don't work until Thursday, and that's normally 2 p.m. in the afternoon until midnight. I do 4/10s. That's a casino.
Do you ever watch these videos where they catch gamblers and people cheating and all that stuff? And they put string down on a coin. There's all these crazy, and because the machines are all electronic now, right?
Yeah.
So they have things they slip underneath and they give them a code. It's real strange. Have you ever witnessed any of that stuff?
I witness people cheating, but you know, it's sad when it's people that show up all the time. You know, that's what it's really frustrating because you figure they know the rules. Everybody should know the rules, but when you keep showing up all the time and you're trying to get yourself in trouble, it's like, come on now, you just waste everybody's time.
Did you love the movie Casino?
I thought the movie Casino was really good. I like mafia movies. I really do. I love that. And action films and war films and whatever.
Okay, did you watch The Sopranos?
Here and there. I got a ways to go, you know. I mean, but I watched, you know, like the Godfather stuff. I watched, I watched the Sopranos movie that came out a couple years ago.
Okay.
I did buy that and watch that. And it was good.
So I'll tell you, we'll go out with this. This is an interesting story. So Bud Friedman, who owned the Improvs, had the Improv in Vegas, which opened in the, I guess, let's say the mid 80s. And there was a guy that was running the club for him named Steve Sharippa, who I'm sure a lot of your viewers, that name is going to ring a bell. And I'll tell it in reverse order. So Steve Sharippa ran the Improv, you know, and he also worked for the hotel that I'm blanking on the name of the hotel, what it was. It was where Pia Zadora was. It's no longer there. But anyway, so Sharippa owned the guy. And he was like, well, he wound up being on The Sopranos. He played one of the major characters. And he was really this tough guy from Brooklyn. And, you know, he would get in your face, Smirnoff, you're supposed to do 20 minutes. You did 22. Oh, well, fuck, I'll kill you next time you do that. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, Steve. So he was running the club. And he then worked his way in with this hotel like hardcore. He became a real bigwig at the hotel. And then hotels never allowed shooting of anything, movies, TV shows. They didn't really want it. They didn't want that kind of publicity, but they went to him, and that's where they shot the movie Casino it's the Riviera Hotel. And so Sharippa organized the allowing of a Hollywood movie, because when you, as you know, working in a casino, if you have to block off a section for shooting, that's 6 tables that are inactive. And that's not why a casino is in business, correct? Yeah. So he made a deal with Michelin Rickless. This is the guy who owned the hotel. They said the publicity will be better than the money you lose with them filming the movie. So that's where Casino was shot. Okay, so now they shoot the movie. The movie's a great movie. You've seen it, yes? Great film, De Niro, Pesci.
Oh, it's wonderful.
But because Sharippa was such a great businessman. This guy went from, being a manager and running a club to working his way up in the hierarchy of this hotel. Then by him bringing in casino into which no movie was ever shot inside a casino, because it was he then got in with all these Hollywood people, which then got him a starring role on The Sopranos, and now he's still famous, and he's an actor on all these shows. So it's an amazing a success story from someone that just kind of, I don't believe he ever wanted to be where he is. And he's where everybody who worked for him wanted to be. So it's one of those ironic twist stories.
Oh, it sounds like it. No, Casino was a great movie. I mean, like I said, good.
And The Sopranos was a great TV show.
Yeah, mobster movies are great. I like, I don't know if I want to be part of the lifestyle unless I was like a head mob boss or something. But it's interesting to learn, all the history of it and stuff. And I'm sure in your life, did you ever have to deal with a lot of mob people coming into your life at all or anything? Or can you not say?
They were around. They were around, but never. I mean, never. I didn't really become anything, so there was no reason to shake me. What are they going to shake me down for?
No. I don't mean like that. I mean anybody that you were befriended or anything like that.
Yes, I witnessed. We'll do that in another episode. I have to re-go into my mind if everybody's dead, because I can't. This is like no one was murdered, but the threat of murder was horrible. So he's dead. We'll save that. But yes, I watched. As I say, it got very gunsy, knivesy. What I saw, yes. So yes, I witnessed that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, Bruce, and again, thanks for spending time with me,
Frankie. Anytime, okay. And thank you to listeners and viewers. Thank you for watching the show. I hope there was something that you enjoyed and could take away from it.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Well, this was another great edition of Frankie Sauce's Renegade Radio, the interview portion, just a separate interview from the show, totally different than what we normally do in the live broadcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.